Mark says, I heard on the last episode that Dave did not use Migration Assistant on his new Mini M4. I am getting an updated Mac Studio M4 for my work computer and have been using Migration Assistant for many years and many models, 20 plus years. But I, like Dave, feel that it might be time to do a fresh install of everything when I get the new Mac Studio. But I am terrified. Yeah, it's pretty scary.
I hear
you. I have many subscription softwares, most important, the Adobe family, and many third-party ones, not from the App Store. I know many of them have either a file that acts as a license stored somewhere on my hard drive or hidden registration and settings in some other folders, maybe application support. I would need to sign out of every software program so that I can install would I rather need to sign out of every software program so that I can install a fresh version of the third-party software. So third-party software will not think I am trying to install it on multiple computers if I only have a license for one. Other thought is how much crud would be brought over by doing a very selective migration assistant. What do I bring? What do I leave? And if something doesn't work afterwards, how do I troubleshoot what part of the application is missing and where it is located? Keep up the great podcast, Mark. So a lot to unpack in there.
Yeah.
Understood.
It's a tough question for sure. And like all of your concerns are valid. And all of your concerns are the reason that we all just use Migration Assistant and bring all the cruft with us all the time, right? Like that's just, you are articulating exactly the thing that Apple set out to and very much did solve with Migration Assistant. But it comes with a cost. And so I would counsel you against trying to do a very selective migration assistant. If you're going to bother to bring over cruft, just bring it all with you. It's not that bad, right? This is coming from someone who intentionally started fresh. But if you're going to start fresh, don't start half fresh or even 75% fresh. It's not going to be the fresh start. You don't know what it is that is the cruft that matters, right? For your specific setup. If you did, you would have cleaned it out already. And so would I. So starting fresh means starting fresh. What I did, though, to mitigate against these kinds of things was a couple of things. I would say the biggest one, but there might be a bigger one. The biggest one was leaving my Mac Mini on my network and running for days, actually a couple of weeks afterwards. It is still running at this moment with my old install. I don't have it launch any apps, but it is sitting there on my network. It is going to be repurposed as my headless Mini that's going to run a bunch of the things that my headless iMac currently runs because it's more efficient and more powerful. But so it will remain on the network, but not as it currently is. I also, of course, did a full backup of it, two of them, in fact. I did one to my disk station, and then I did another just to an SSD, an external SSD that I have, like an OWC, one of those Envoys, just so I could have it easily and plug in if I realize, oh, crap, I need something. Now, I did migrate certain things over. I used Thunderbird for my mail, so I copied that over. I copied my photos library over, although I didn't have to. I could have let it just sync everything back down from the cloud. I didn't want to let it go through that. I had already done that kind of at some point in the last couple of years when I had an issue, so I didn't really need to do that again. And my music library, same thing. But other than that, I installed apps fresh. I dealt with the headache that is absolutely a headache, but far less of a headache than any of us ever thinks it's going to be when we start down this path of, relicensing the apps that I needed to relicense. It's really not that bad. But but having the other machine running, had I run into a thing, and I think I did. Actually, I think my SetApp license had hit a limit, and so I was like, oh, I'll just go uninstall or log out of SetApp on the M1, and then I just logged in on the M4, and everything was fine. Didn't take me very long at all. And what the part that surprised me the most is the point that I realized when I had already essentially finished with the migration. And by that, I mean, obviously, I didn't migrate most things. I migrated data, but not app data, not settings, and certainly not application binaries or anything. But, I knew, okay, I'm going to have to reinstall literally every app that I'm going to use. Like, that's what this process is about. And I did that on the first day. And then, like, by somewhere in the middle of the second day, I was like, wait, I've been using my computer. I haven't installed any more apps. Like, what am I missing? And the answer was nothing. Like, I had a lot of crap on that old computer that I just didn't need. And certainly I can install apps. Like, hey, if it's something I have a license for, then I already have the license. I've always stored those in 1Password for this and many other reasons. And so I'm not that worried about it. But it was interesting. That realization is like, oh, I've been using this. It's done. I didn't have to spend 4 days installing apps. I didn't spend 4 hours. I think I maybe spent 40 minutes installing apps. It was really, it's not as hard as you think, and you don't use as many apps as you think, or certainly I don't. But what I did do first was Claude Code. I opened up a Claude Code session. I gave it access to my drive, and I said, go and figure out what I use and what I might be missing. And it went through and it identified. It was like, you're going to want to resync your Keyboard Maestro things. And I'm like, yep, okay, good. I already had that on my list, but like it kind of went through and made me a checklist. So that did help. I've done it enough that I kind of already knew that I had to make a checklist, but there was something that Claude Code caught that I didn't. So, that helps, but it's really not that bad. If you can leave the other computer running for at least a couple of days so that you can easily access something you missed, or have a clone of it that, on a drive that you can easily access, that would have worked for me too. Right. I don't think it would have mattered. So I don't know. Those are my thoughts on it. So
yeah, I mean, if you are scared, Kiwi Graham put in our Discord chat what I would recommend is, like, if you're not going to do, and I think this is a good tip just in general, if you're not going to do a full nuke and pave, use Migration Assistant and then use, Clean My Mac to go through and find cruft and remove it. It is a great tool for that. There are other tools too. You can use other tools, but Clean My Mac is my preferred one. I think it's the easiest to use. It's got a great uninstaller that's going to go if you're removing apps. Like you said, Dave, earlier, it'll find the apps you're not using. It'll literally tell you, hey, you haven't launched these apps in 2 years. It's like, and then it will uninstall them and it will go find the bits and pieces and get the cruft out for you. So you don't have to do that work. You can find your large files and archive them. You can, just spend your time doing that. So it's kind of the reverse, right? You can either spend your time reinstalling everything and reconfiguring anything, or you could do the opposite and just like bring everything over and clean it up.
Yeah.
Spend the time to clean it up. Either way, you're going to be spending time. So you just got to choose what's easier for you. It's probably time and situation. For me, I find it easier the other way because then I can just upgrade and I can take my time to go through when I have available time to do that stuff. The other way around, it's like, I got to get back up and running. I need my tools. I need my software. I need
Yes.
So you're spending upfront time to get back up and running. You're probably going to end up with a cleaner. I mean, the reality is Nuke and Pave, you're going to end up with a cleaner system.
For sure.
Clean My Mac's not going to find everything, but it does a great job of finding 95% probably of the stuff. Like,
it's true. Yeah. Yeah. I didn't intentionally put this right after the sponsor spot about Clean My Mac, but it's a great, like, it absolutely, this is why, this is one of the reasons why they sponsor the show, because it's so relevant to what we do here. Yeah, exactly.
Well, and like I said, there are other tools. We've talked about a lot of other tools for
Yes.
finding large files and other ways to find large files. You can use other things. There's uninstallers. There's all kinds of apps you could use for this. It's clean. My Mac is just nice because it's all in one place. It's all works great. It's got a great, all the things we've talked about.
Yeah.
But the other thing that I was going to mention with the concern on, exceeding your licenses for subscription-based software, most of the bigger ones and even some smaller ones, what I would remind you, and I just checked this with Setup because you mentioned Setup, most of them have a login for a website. And if you log into your account, there's usually a place where you can see and manage the devices that have licenses. So, in Setup, I just logged in and I can see I've got 4 licensed and they're the ones that I would expect. And I can see the names of, each Mac that is using a license. And I can disconnect one from their website if I needed to. So if you did leave an old device on, that might be right. And I know I can do that with my Adobe subscription. I know I can do that with my Tower subscription. There's a bunch of these subscriptions I have where I can just go to the website, log into my account, and manage the devices there. So if you do need to remove a device so you can add a new one, that's usually an option as well.
Yeah. I will say it, just to reiterate it, every time I've done a nuke and pave, I finish the process and wonder why I avoid doing this more often. It's for me always easier and smoother than I anticipate. But I'm like you. It's like I need to be able to get my work done. So if I carve out an afternoon to do this, it can't become a 3-day process, right? But that's why keeping the other machine around, it's like, okay, if this turns out to be an absolute disaster, I wiped the new machine clean. Right. And when it asks me, what do I want to do? I say migration assistant and I have it go get the thing and I punt. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
Fair. So there are a lot of safety nets built into this. So
especially for us, I don't just have my old machine. I have my old machine and my old machine has a carbon copy clone and all my critical important files are on my Synology and synced through, I'm going to blank on the name of this. ChronoSync.
Synology Drive. Oh, ChronoSync too.
Yeah, I use ChronoSync.
Yeah, right.
But Synology Drive, whatever so critical stuff synced there. I also have my Backblaze. I have a million places where I can go get stuff if I need to recover stuff. So, if this is one of the reasons why it's like practice good backup and archiving and stuff like that. And it's even less of a worry because you're not going to lose stuff.
Yes. That's it. Is the systems that we have in place now. I think my PTSD for nuking and paving is definitely rooted in the days before IMAP mail and documents and desktop syncing. However you do it, iCloud will do both of those things for you, right? But you could choose another path. Like, Dropbox was the first. And really, it's those two things, right? It's like my data follows me to every computer that I log into. And that is now pretty much ubiquitous. And therefore, it makes starting up, like when I get a new iPhone, I often don't migrate over to it. Probably every other year, I'm just like, I'll start fresh. That's fine. And all my data is just like there. Because part of that logging into iCloud brings that with you. And that's also Apple's intent. Like, this is not an accident.